Halloween Kills has officially been out for over a week, so how about we talk about Halloween Ends? How's it going, guys? As always, my name is Jimmy Champane, and if you like monsters, slashers, pretty much any movie shot during, set during, or inspired by the 1980s, this is the channel for you. So if that sounds cool, take a second to subscribe and set your notifications to all. Alright, so Halloween Kills is officially behind us, and Halloween Ends is just a year away. So I went and I did a ton of research and found everything I could possibly find about this movie. In today's video, I'm going to tell you when it's coming out, when it's filming, who survived, everything we know about the story, pretty much every detail you could ever think of about this movie. I think I found it. But before we jump into it, I have to thank the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark. When Surfshark reached out to me to promote their VPN, I immediately said yes because a lot of my favorite YouTubers have also promoted Surfshark before, and they all still use it themselves to this day. It's fast and it's easy to use, and a feature that a lot of people I think are going to like is that it connects you to the closest server just by default. You don't have to do anything extra. But if you've used a VPN before and you already know what you're doing, it has a lot of features there that you can take advantage of. And once you're subscribed, it lets you install it on unlimited devices, which is cool because who wants to have like 5 different VPNs for each and every device you own? The most fun thing you can use a VPN for is streaming. So if you go on Netflix and a show you really like isn't available anymore in your country, you can use Surfshark to switch the library to a different country that still has that show, and it's super simple to do. Surfshark was kind enough to create a promo code for my channel, which is Jimmy Champane, and if you use it at checkout, you'll get 83% off and 3 extra months for free, which is a really good deal. And it's also linked down in the description. Thanks so much to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. So the first thing we have to talk about is when the movie's coming out and when it's going to film. So as of right now, the release date of Halloween Ends is October 14th, 2022. Almost a year exactly to the day from Halloween Kills, just off by 1 day. Now I saw some people confused about the fact that they're releasing the end of this trilogy a year after the middle when we had to wait around 3 years to get the middle of the trilogy, but that was always the plan here. It was actually supposed to come out this year before everything got shifted forward a full year, which is why we had that 3-year gap between Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. So everything is fine there. As for when it's going to start filming, we've actually heard from James Jude Courtney himself that it's going to start filming on January 10th, 2022. So right at the beginning of the year, just like Halloween 2018 did. They filmed at the beginning of the year in 2018, did some reshoots in the middle of the year, and everything was good to go by October. So again, nothing to worry about there. Now as for where it's going to film, right now the rumor is that it's going to film in Georgia instead of Wilmington, North Carolina like Halloween Kills, or Charleston, South Carolina like Halloween 2018. For right now at least, I would take that with a huge grain of salt because I can't figure out where that rumor came from, and also I really can't find anything official to back it up at this point. I personally think it's a little suspicious to hear that they'd be moving out of the Carolinas to film Halloween Ends because David Gordon Green's still involved. He's directing the movie, he's writing it with Danny McBride. His production company, Rough House Pictures, is based in Charleston, South Carolina, and they like shooting in the Carolinas. They've shot in Wilmington, they've shot in Charleston. A lot of the shows he makes shoot around that area. Obviously, Georgia is relatively close to that area, so it's like plausible to move the production there. But yeah, I'm just like a little bit suspicious of it. As for how the movie's gonna look, I don't think it's gonna make all that much of a difference, honestly. I was nervous going into Halloween Kills that they were moving from South Carolina to North Carolina, and if you put those movies together, like back to back, you really can't tell the difference. I'm sure people who live in those areas can definitely tell the difference, but the orange lighting was there. You saw them all running around Haddonfield. They even had the flashbacks and stuff like that. Like, honestly, I'm fine with them moving. I don't really care. I just can't find anything to support the fact that they are moving, you know? And speaking of the release date, there's a lot of questions going around about whether or not Halloween Ends is going to be on Peacock the same day it releases in theaters like Halloween Kills was. Now, there's no confirmation yet, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say I really don't think so. That deal was definitely better for the Universal side of things because even though you could literally sign up for Peacock and watch Halloween Kills at home day one, they still made $50 million in the theater, which is awesome. That's a lot of money to make on its own in the time that we're in, but the fact that people could just watch it from home and didn't, they went to the theater and watched the movie, that shows that the Peacock side of Universal isn't going to want to pay the Universal side of Universal a whole bunch of money again to get Halloween Ends when that comes out. Also, if they have the opportunity in 2022 to release it normally in theaters that don't have restrictions and all this other stuff that's keeping people away from theaters, theaters, they're probably gonna go with that because at the end of the day, that's where all the money is. All right, so now we gotta talk about the story setup. So the biggest thing going around about Halloween Ends is that instead of taking place on the same night or I guess day as Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, there's going to be a 4-year time jump to make it contemporary again. So the movie's coming out in October of 2022. That's around when it's supposed to be taking place. So because Halloween Kills turned out to be the most divisive horror movie of the year somehow, there's obviously two schools of thought here. Some people want it to just pick up at the end of Halloween Kills and keep going, and then some people are like, yeah, it kind of makes sense for there to be a time jump, and I'm definitely in the second camp because look, I get it. It's cool to have all of these movies take place in the same night, but right now where all the characters are, the story doesn't really require it in any way. I mean, think about Laurie just starting out. She was stabbed and she had to have surgery, so they cut her entire stomach open, and we saw her split those wounds back open in Halloween Kills when she knees that doctor who's coming at her in the hallway, right? Like, she is in no way capable right now of leaving that hospital and going out and finding Michael. I'm just gonna say it. Like, I know there's crazy stuff happening in these movies, but that is just like a bridge too far for me. This lady who we literally see her stomach open, there's no way she'd be able to go out on that same night and hunt down Michael. She's pretty much the main character still at this point. I don't think it really works. Also, Officer Hawkins, obviously a bigger character in Halloween Kills. We get his backstory fleshed out. We have it confirmed that he's alive, but he did get run over by a cop car, and also he got stabbed in the neck. He's obviously not in a great place either in Halloween Kills, so having him get up to help Laurie go hunt down Michael in the same night, don't think that would work either. And then Allyson, of course, she just snapped her leg at the end of the movie. So none of these people are physically capable of going out of the hospital to go find Michael. Now, Lindsay Wallace was taken to the hospital after her encounter with Michael. I don't really know what exactly he did to her because all he really did in the movie was choke her for a minute, slam her on a car, and then throw her on the ground. But she's pretty beat up by the time the group finds her. So yeah, she could theoretically, like right now at this point in time where Halloween Kills is, go out and find Michael. But with every other character basically incapacitated, that warrants the time jump, in my opinion. And in the article where David Gordon Green confirmed this, he said, "We're jumping time a little bit in Halloween Ends, but part of what we're exploring is how Laurie and a few of our characters have processed those years between Halloween 2018 and that night's events and tragedies to Halloween 2022, tracing the journey to where they will come to fruition in their psychological aftermath." So yeah, like I said, there's two schools of thought here. Personally, for me, I think the time jump is the way to go. I like having these movies be contemporary. But yeah, speaking of characters who are incapacitated or dead after Halloween Kills, let's get like a player card here of who's actually going to be returning in Halloween Ends. We'll start out with Lindsay Wallace because even though she survived, some people weren't sure if she would be coming back, but David Gordon Green basically confirmed that yeah, we are going to see more of Lindsay Wallace in Halloween Ends. He said, "It was fun to be able to see her role reversal, her maturity as a character. I'm not sure we've seen the last of Kyle Richards in our franchise." So yeah, that's pretty much all the confirmation I need that Lindsay Wallace is coming back, but what about everyone else? So Laurie Strode, definitely going to be in this movie. Jamie Lee Curtis has talked about it multiple times. She's the main character of Halloween, so you know, it would be weird to not have Jamie Lee Curtis back. I think we're pretty safe there guessing that Laurie will be back. Andi Matichak also confirmed to be coming back as Allyson. She's going to have a major role in this movie. We'll talk about that more in a second. Officer Hawkins definitely coming back. He hasn't been confirmed, I don't think, as like a returning character, but they set him up so well in the first two movies, like it would be weird to not have him at this point. And then finally, of course, James Drew Courtney is coming back to play Michael Myers. He's the one who told us when the movie is filming after all, and that's great. He's basically like the definitive Michael Myers at this point, so I'm glad he's going to finish out this trilogy. Hopefully in the future he's able to play him again. So moving on to the story in this one, details thankfully haven't been leaked yet. I'm sure they will at some point, but as of now there haven't been that many details about Halloween Ends leaked, and hopefully Blumhouse and Universal can keep it that way. It really sucked having the script leak a year before the movie came out for Halloween Kills. My comment section was a murder fest. But with that being said, we can make some educated guesses here. Obviously this is going to focus on Laurie and Allyson. Laurie has great motive to go after Michael, basically because for 40 years she was the one saying he was going to escape, and then he escaped and came and murdered everyone in Haddonfield. He's killed her friends, he's killed her daughter, he's killed the people that she saved on that original Halloween night, which basically renders what she did useless in that movie. She's got a lot of reasons to be angry enough to go out and kill Michael Myers in this movie, but the person who has probably the best motivation of all is Allyson. Her dad is dead, her boyfriend boyfriend's dead, her mom is dead, her entire friend group is dead, her leg is broken. She's got a ton of reasons to help Laurie Strode go hunt down Michael. Obviously, Officer Hawkins does as well, because he feels like it's his fault that Michael is still running around, because he stopped Michael from getting shot in the head in Halloween 1978. But I'm not exactly sure that would have killed him, so he feels like it's his fault. I'm not going to put the blame on him just because I like the character so much. I think he's a good guy. And as for Allyson's role in this movie, it finally seems like they're going to deliver on her as a character. They've been building her up for 2 movies, so I feel like now's the time to really let her loose and be the main character. About her character, David Gordon Green said, "That's exactly what Halloween Ends explores. The core of that story is Allyson's considerations and psychology." Of course, at its core, this trilogy's story is Laurie versus Michael, but I feel like Allyson has just as much of a role to play, if not more. We've seen Laurie versus Michael in Halloween 2018. We've seen Tommy versus Michael and the whole town of Haddonfield versus Michael in Halloween Kills. So I'm glad that Allyson is finally stepping up to the plate here to be the central focus of the movie. I think that's a great call. Still focusing on the story here, in an interview where he was talking about how Halloween Ends is going to be contemporary, which means it's going to take place in 2022, David Gordon Green did confirm that the pandemic happened in this world of Haddonfield and Halloween. So they have to deal with what happened on the night in 2018, then they have to deal with the whole world shutting down for a few years, and then we're picking back up with them in 2022. I'm assuming that means the people of Haddonfield are going to be pretty burnt out, pretty desolate, pretty upset, just overall scared and not happy, not doing great by the time we pick up in Halloween Kills. I really hope there's no direct dialogue talking about the world shutting down and the pandemic and all that. I just don't want to hear it in movies at this point. I'm sick of hearing about it. I don't want to go to the movies to see a Halloween movie and hear about the last few years of my life that really sucked. You know, that's just not what I'm there for. But if they show Haddonfield, do it without telling, like show the main street of Haddonfield maybe with stores closed and no one walking around, and give it a very sad, desolate vibe, that would work pretty well for me. Because, you know, the movie's contemporary, so it would be weird if they completely ignored it. Again, I just don't want any dialogue. I don't need that melodramatic crap in a Halloween movie. I guess all I really want to say there, though, is that I'm happy to give David Gordon Green the benefit of the doubt here, because they had social commentary in both Halloween and Halloween Kills, and they did a good job of just working it in as a plot point, not coming off preachy or beating you over the head with it. So I feel like it would be dumb of me not to assume that's what they're going to do in Halloween Ends. I mean, maybe I'll be wrong. We don't know anything about this movie yet, but hey, I'm gonna cross my fingers right now. Next up, we definitely have to talk about the whole supernatural angle for Michael Myers. So in my review, after seeing Halloween Kills, I think it was my spoiler review specifically, I was like, yep, they finally confirmed Michael Myers is supernatural. There's no way to argue against it at this point, because we literally see him dead in the street and then he gets up and murders the entire mob that slaughtered him, right? That just seems like direct confirmation that he's supernatural. But David Gordon Green, in an Ending Explained video on IGN, jumped in and told us the opposite. He said the suggestion that he's more than a man is a theory that Laurie has. My personal concept for Michael, which will carry forward as long as I'm involved, is that he's capable of spectacular things but not impossible things. So I don't personally see him as supernatural, but I see the element of fear that he's generated and exacerbated is transcending the immediate character and moved on to an entire community. Like, he's the writer, he's the director, he can say whatever he wants. I'm just like watching the movie on the screen though and seeing Michael Myers come back to life. That, in my opinion, makes him supernatural. This dude's been shot, he's been stabbed with a pitchfork, he's been neck stomped, he's been stabbed in the back, he's been hit with a car, he's had so much crazy shit happen to him in the course of one night that he's been able to just get up and keep moving through, that honestly, I feel like there's some power of Halloween or something just keeping this guy going, right? Like, he's not human at this point. I think that's what really matters to the whole point of it. Like, at the end of Kills, Laurie's monologue literally says, I always thought Michael was flesh and blood like you and me, but a mortal man could not have survived what he's lived through. The more he kills, the more he transcends into something impossible to defeat. So that's a little wishy-washy, honestly enough where I think it's going to be left open to the viewer's interpretation, and I'm interpreting him as a little bit supernatural. Not totally like a ghost, or a zombie like Jason, nothing like that. He's just a guy who can't die because he's so angry, sort of like Doom guy. But yeah, another point in my review that I mentioned is that Michael does not care about Laurie and that the movie officially confirmed it. Hawkins tells Laurie that the only reason Michael ended up at her house in the first place was because Sartain put him there. It was not because he was directly going after Laurie Strode. I said that when Halloween 2018 came out. People thought it was crazy. They said, no way, Michael Myers cares about Laurie Strode. He wants to kill her. And no, David Gordon Green said in an interview, I believe he is a spectacular and resilient human being with no motive and no emotion. No motive and no emotion are the things I want to focus on there, because if he has no motive and no emotion, he does not care about Laurie Strode. She is only going to encounter Michael Myers if she puts herself in his path. But now she knows where to find him on Halloween night, the Myers house. That's where he's going to go after he murders some people. I love that twist. I love that they're sticking with the fact that Michael is not related to Laurie. They cut out the fact that she is his sister. I don't like that plot line. I'm glad it's not in this movie. I'm glad that it's not in this trilogy. I know some people miss it, but for those people, I have a great set of movies for you to watch. They're called Halloween, Halloween 2, and H2O. It's a great trilogy on its own that keeps Laurie as Michael's sister. And I think that's why the extended ending, which was the test screening ending, which was also in the script, that's going to be included on the Blu-ray, wasn't ultimately used. So if you guys haven't heard at this point, the original ending of Halloween Kills, after Karen is murdered by Michael, Laurie calls her cell phone from the hospital and Michael picks up the phone and breathes into it. But if you leave it open to interpretation like that, that could be interpreted as Michael caring about Laurie. Even though he's not saying anything, people would definitely interpret that ending as him confirming that he's gonna go after her next in Halloween Ends. Also, I think if they had that ending, that few seconds extra, they would have definitely had to have Halloween Ends take place on the same night, because that's just a straight up cliffhanger, right? You would have to have Halloween Ends pick up right after that. So the fact that they want to have this 4-year time jump and they don't want Michael to care about Laurie at all, to have no motive, that was smart to cut that ending. But yeah, there you have it. That is literally everything we know so far about Halloween Ends. If there's anything you want to know about that I can look into, make sure you let me know down in the comments below. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe and set your notifications to all. As always, guys, my name is Jimmy Champane, and I'll see you in the next one. Shape on, and evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. Evil dies tonight. That is going to be stuck in my head for the rest of my life.